Welcome back, everybody, to another weekly wrap up. Today, Ghost and I are going to walk through some things that have been happening in the crypto markets the last few weeks, and pretty much just discuss them.
And as always, there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah,
We're hosting yet again. I am the Ghost of St. Miklos, as you all know.
And I'm Luke, as you know. So I think the last time we touched base with you guys, Bitcoin wasn't looking too hot. People were very bearish. People were expecting, the end of the world. Markets are never as easy as they seem. The chart we've got in front of us is a Bitcoin USD daily chart on Bitstamp, and you can see that it just melted down. And when it looked like all hope had lost, it literally just pumped for like a week straight and left a lot of people offside to that move, I would say, and underexposed. And I think for me, it's an interesting one because if you try and analyze, the crypto market cycles to previous cycles, it's difficult to really, I don't know. I feel like they're all a little bit different in their own way. Like this cycle definitely feels different because we had kind of like that massive big run up for a couple of months, a weird kind of top structure, like a rounded top, and then like just like a straight nuke. Some people were probably expecting this to be like a dead cat bounce, potentially. This is still could just be setting a lower high before nuking back down. Who knows? I think for me though, Ghost, the market's been very strong in the alts. The alts have been, holding up very incredibly. There's been some huge bounces. Things like AXS have literally just been going straight up. It's absolutely unbelievable. I think what was one of the other ones? Luna. I think Luna just made a new all-time high. And I think Sol made a new all-time high too. So definitely a lot of opportunity in the market. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see where things go.
So, with regard to the different structure of the market, if you could go back to the chart, Luke.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of things to be said with regard to how different primitives are coming into this market and are showing themselves, and it's showing itself like in how people are engaging with it. We're going to talk about NFTs later today, and I would contend that NFTs are very interesting, almost like liquidity, not even liquidity locking, but like they're illiquid points of like increasing demand for certain assets like high quality collateral such as Bitcoin or Ethereum. And the prevalence of these NFTs, which are also for example AXS from Axie, that's like the commoditized common unit of value for their ecosystem of gamified NFTs. Like these sort of dynamic games and ecosystems are definitely going to start be more of the driving factors in this coming market cycle. And I would just warn everyone not to get too excited for reaching 100K immediately. As most of us have seen, the log scale of Bitcoin over time has shown a drawing out and a lengthening of each market hype cycle. And so in essence, we're looking at kind of it's a logarithmic curve, on the log scale of Bitcoin price, where the price can still move, say, from top to bottom 50+%, but that still represents a noticeable downturn in the actual volatility of the underlying asset as Bitcoin and every other cryptocurrency matures. So just very, very, it's a great time to be alive.
Yeah, I think that kind of leads into the realized cap that you were telling me about just before. So basically, for those of you who don't know, realized cap is basically like an on-chain metric. And correct me if I get this wrong here, Ghost, but basically it measures the realized market capitalization of Bitcoin by the last time a Bitcoin was moved and the price point at that time. So for example, if let's say a wallet went dormant, 5 years ago, holding 1,000 Bitcoin, and at the time it was only $100, that's a significant less increase in the realized market cap than if they move them today, because then it would be, $1,000, 1,000 Bitcoin times today's market price. I think that's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be instead of like 100K added to the realized market cap,
Mm.
you'd have 4.4 million
Mm.
added to the market cap if they traded at today's prices as opposed to $100. So absolutely, it's an interesting statistic, and it definitely shows that we are normalizing psychologically prices of Bitcoin that have never been normalized before. 20K, which was a ghostly apparition that was very briefly touched, if only to be shrieked away from after in a moment's time, is now like considered to be apocalyptic bottom.
Mm.
Like like
Yeah.
like 29K was the end for the bull market, but yet we're yeah, it's just a very interesting transition for us.
Yeah, and I guess that it's kind of interesting as well because it all happened so quickly. Like it was only a few years ago that we were, I mean, geez, it was only a year ago we were trading under 10,000, and even then it was even 3,000 in March last year. I think
Yeah,
I think we're also seeing in the crypto market, and this leads on to this absolutely sexy chart. And this leads on to another point I think I've found in the crypto markets as of late, particularly in the last 12 months, is there definitely seems to be sectors and outliers cropping up. And I personally believe this is due to a lot of market liquidity being denominated against US dollars or US dollar stablecoins. And so what we used to have in the crypto markets essentially was to buy altcoins or to trade altcoins, they were paired against Bitcoin, right? And so what you would happen is, when Bitcoin would make a sharp move and stuff like that, people would get in and out of alts very quickly, and it would make them very correlated to the Bitcoin moves. Now, as big funds get in and exchanges and, fiat on ramps and stuff really start leveling up a level, we can see that a lot of the pairs and a lot of the trading volume is actually dominated from like, US dollars or dollar pairing stable coins. And to me, I actually think that that's a good thing. I think it allows, things like quant. I mean, if you looked at this chart, you would kind of struggle to see, the recent Bitcoin move. I mean, you really would. It's just up only for the last few months, really. And I think that that's just going to highlight that in the future, you're going to see a bit more of this decorrelation and separation in market sectors. I mean, particularly those people who trade. I don't know if people are dabbling in it, but there definitely seems to be a trend where all DeFi things move, all DeFi assets kind of move in a trend, and then like the metaverse kind of all move, in a trend as well. I think it's something very interesting that I've kind of noticed over the past couple of months, as opposed to a year or two ago, everything would be very, very correlated.
yeah. So we're not looking at any. We're just looking at quant USD price of this chart,
Mm.
but you definitely can see that in peaks uh, of I guess you could say Bitcoin despair,
Mm.
like a quant has just out straight up for the past year or so absolutely outperformed. I mean, we've talked about it for a long time. Quant has been a bear market asset, and it's proving itself over and over, even in this bull cycle, that when everything else is dumping, Quant has this strange ability to attract value to itself. And again, at risk of repeating myself, I view this because personally, Quant is both a call and a put on the crypto market,
Mm.
where it's a call in the sense that it's a digital asset, and as more money flows around in this space, more money will flow to Quant as well. It's a great project,
Hmm.
and it's a put as well because of the fact that Quant is enabling for businesses which normally wouldn't touch decentralized cryptographic assets. It's enabling these businesses to start to integrate with DLTs, and also more importantly, regulators. So if regulators wish to impose restrictions upon DLTs or requirements for using DLTs, they would probably do so through a technology like Quant.
Mm.
And so that sort of certain scenario of a put means that Quant can benefit from both aspects of a network of networks. And it's just amazing. I mean, we're pumping 20% right now, where everything else is like settling along with Bitcoin 5% down,
Mm.
and and that's like right at all time highs. Like nothing's stopping this train. We're just going to keep going.
Yeah,
So,
for reference, this is a logarithmic chart as well. If I if I turn off the logarithmic chart, it just gets a little messy. But yeah, it's pretty
just
cool.
a little messy.
Yeah, you can't even see the 20 cent buys.
Oh
Um,
wow, that's amazing.
so another thing that we touched on last time was the EIP 1559 upgrade. To upgrade, if you can call it that, I suppose, to Ethereum, where it would burn a portion of gas fees that would usually be attributed to the miners. And again, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong on any of these things, but I just think that this site is just something crazy. I mean, we are looking at 60,000 ETH burned already, which is at current values $180 million. It's currently burning 2.75 ETH per minute. The average for the last 24 hours has been about 3. And interestingly, I was looking into it the other day, actually, Ghost, but I believe with ETH 2.0, when she moves to proof of stake, I actually believe there's going to be like a triple halvening happening in Ethereum. I believe the supply reduction is going to reduce significantly so that this current ETH emission will actually end up being deflationary. And now, if that does play out, I mean, geez, hold on to your hats in the alt markets, in my opinion, personally, because
So,
that is
so
crazy.
I want to touch briefly on this. It's been a point of, I guess, contention among Bitcoiners versus shitcoiners,
Mm,
so to speak, where everyone, Bitcoin's main feature has been its consistency, its singular focus on a one utility, which is asset tracking and transfer.
mm,
So not only a payment being a unit of account, but also a payment rail as well. And so, yeah, Bitcoin has always been sound money, so to speak. And now we see this meme of Ethereum's ultra sound money, where we have like normally Ethereum that would be recycling towards miners that are participating in this process is now being burnt instead. Very similar to, I guess you could see in the Terra ecosystem, how Luna is burnt for every UST that is introduced into the ecosystem. So,
mm.
like more utility, the more that the underlying base asset is burned. Now, this makes me wonder whether or not this will actually be a problem for the ecosystem. And I say this because usually utilities benefit from slightly inflationary circumstances. When you have deflationary circumstances, people are more likely to hold on to coins rather than actually use them. So this sort of burning mechanism will, and in essence, it's encouraging Ethereum to ossify until the burn reaches a much lower amount. So it could work it could backfire. There's a lot of
Mm.
circumstances in which we don't yet understand like the full crypto economic result of this sort of change. But it's very incredible to just see this amount of money just totally removed from the circulating supply. It's very, and on the eve of ETH 2.0 as well.
Mm. Yeah, I remember listening to a podcast a few months ago. I think Suzu from Three Arrows Capital was on it. I think his name is Hazu as well. I'll try and find the
Yeah,
podcast again, but they were talking about like the whole Bitcoin versus Ethereum camps in this market, and Bitcoin's always kind of been known as the one where its monetary policy or whatever is like set in stone, and that's it. Like, and they were saying that it kind of appeals to the traditionals, more safer, less volatile, no abrupt changes. But then he was saying there's definitely a camp where like the fresh and the innovative people are on Ethereum, and they were saying what does the like how does the market price Bitcoin if it loses number one spot in the crypto market? Like, does it lose value for that? Like, because at this rate, if Ethereum becomes deflationary, I mean, I think it's fair to say that majority of actually utilized applications on in crypto are on Ethereum at the moment. I mean, people complain about the gas prices, but gas prices are high because people are willing to pay for the network. If if that ain't proof of like a useful blockchain, then I'm not sure what is. Because I find it hard to be bearish on something where people pay significant amounts to use it. That just It doesn't really compute to me. Sure, like the gas prices aren't great. There are ways that they're trying to remove it, but if people are paying hundreds of dollars to use the network, then it's clearly got value. So
Have you ever heard the paradox from Yogi Berra?
no, enlighten me.
You know, okay, so like basically it's like this. No one goes there anymore. It's too popular.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's the kind of scenario we're looking at here, and I think it's an interesting attempt at Ethereum and other, more experimental cryptocurrencies to kind of take a thrust at the number one spot. Just
Hmm.
as we saw, like Luna pass Atom, the mother chain, so to speak, in their ecosystem. Ethereum's trying to pass Bitcoin,
Hmm.
and I have to say that again, I think this is somewhat self defeating. And I would also contend that the actual valuation of Bitcoin is not just arbitrary, nor just based on its network effect, but also on the fundamental amount of hash rate that it has contributed captured. And this also means that Bitcoin, uh, when Ethereum moves to proof of stake, will be fundamentally on a consensus level a different beast in Ethereum. And
Hmm.
I wonder whether or not Ethereum is trying to make a last ditch effort at securing as much value as possible before transitioning to proof of stake in order to cement itself as the number one cryptographic protocol. So yeah, let the games begin.
Yeah, it's funny that you use that analogy or paradox before because you hear that all the time. I hear people tell me no one's going to use Ethereum if the gas fees are high. And I simply reply, the gas fees are high because people are using Ethereum. It's like one or the other, you know what I mean? Like it's just crazy to me. It's crazy. Anyway, moving on. This kind of ties into this as well, Ghost. Did you want to jump in here?
Yeah, so this is just basically we're seeing Avalanche's EVM contract chain, C chain, adapting and implementing EIP, Ethereum Improvement Protocol 1559. So they're going to have the dynamic burning as well. And I think ironically enough, this is probably going to benefit Avalanche proportionally more than Ethereum itself, I would
Mm,
contend.
probably.
Avalanche already has a very innovative consensus mechanism, and in my eyes, is already Ethereum 2.0 competitor rather
Mm.
than being a wannabe Ethereum. So this is it's very interesting to see how just like just like forks of Bitcoin can benefit from Bitcoin innovations, so too can forks of the EVM have benefits from the EVM innovations themselves.
Cool. All right. So another interesting story of the last couple of weeks. I think the largest ever DeFi hack happened last
Today,
week. On
today,
sorry. This is all. I'm just giving some context. I'm going to touch on the Poly network. Last week, Poly network,
oh yeah,
which is like a bridge, was hacked for $600 million. And if I recall correctly, I believe he gave a lot of the money back, which is just crazy. But
well, that's only because his IP was leaked, and
oh no.
they basically traced where in the world he was producing these quote hacks unquote from.
Mm,
So
that's crazy.
it, I, apparently the way the hacker was inputting data into the blocks is using metadata through blocks to communicate.
Hmm.
It sounds like he's Chinese or at least pretending to be Chinese.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely got the Russian vibe as well. I don't know. Um, but
Either
anyway,
one.
yeah, this one was about the sushi, the miso protocol.
Hmm.
So, what did you want to touch on this ghost here?
I don't know the details about it yet, but we're looking at a white hat hacker preventing 350 million USD in cryptographic assets from being from being stolen.
It's pretty
So
crazy, isn't it?
I would love to read over it and actually look at the details, but this just came up recently, and so if you want to, anyone wants to sharpen their chop or like lick their chops on deep dives into contract, good principles about building smart contracts and how to detect bugs. That this would be a great story to read. So
Cool. That leads on to what I like to call. Actually, I don't know what I was going to say there, but anyway, the NFT hype the last few weeks. Let's be real, the NFT hype has definitely hit a peak the last few weeks, or at least new highs the last few weeks. OpenSea trading volumes are at record volumes. You've got things like pudgy penguins, these little cute little fellas that reminds me of Club Penguin. I don't know if you ever played that, Ghost. Maybe you're a bit
oh
old.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I never played it, but I was well aware of it. My
Yeah.
sister actually played the hell out of that game.
Yeah, I loved it.
So
I loved it too. But basically, if you guys don't know, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, the idea has actually been around forever, really. I think even Hal Finney touched on it in the 90s. But basically what it is it's like a special type of token with specific traits unique to, that token. And so people tokenize artwork, people tokenize penguins, people also tokenize, mummies, so there's definitely lots of projects coming out now where, they take up money up front to develop a project and those people like mint the NFTs and there's a chance that you get rare ones and stuff like that. Now, look, it's all fun and games. I'm not opposed to it at all. I just want people, if you guys are listening, to be aware. A lot of people are talking about big sales and big wins online, but boy, can you hold these things pretty much to zero with no way out? Because the way NFTs work,
absolutely,
is they're a liquid, so you need someone to be bidding on your specific one to get out. So it can very quickly go from hero to zero. So just be careful, guys.
But basically, we're looking at if NFTs exist only for their own sake, we're looking at the Beanie Babies of our market cycle, which are just pieces of ostensibly randomly generated art. And I mean, they look cool and they might have great style. Like, look at this. This guy has a hawk on his shoulder. Far right. Like, that guy looks dope.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. I like these mummies are cool. These mummies are
yeah.
cool.
These mummies are cool. But what I'm saying is that like the only way that you can really find a solution for this sort of like broken up liquidity is to actually have a unifying asset or some kind of gamification that provides like a common exchange, like basically creating ways of making NFTs fungible within an ecosystem and providing utility based on that NFT, kind of like Axie does. So that way you can actually have some like more predictable price appreciation mechanism rather than just like pure speculation and whims of aesthetic appeal. So
I agree.
Again, just be cautious. Just be cautious, guys. If you see something cool, go for it, especially if it's cheap. But if you have to pay like exorbitant amounts of money for something you think is just gonna be rare just because, be cautious about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to NFTs and the gaming sector like Axie's really crossing over in the next few years and going mainstream. Things like CSGO have kind of been doing this for years. I don't know if many people are a CSGO, so for reference, Counter-Strike, I don't know, Global Offensive or something, I think. I've actually never played. Oh, that's a lie. I played it once or twice. But I've had a mate that actually like just traded the skins on like the secondary market for CSGO.
Oh, dude.
Like he was making a
TF2
killing.
as well. TF2 as well.
So it's like
ecosystem.
Yeah, it's a similar concept. And I think, and this is what I've been saying to people, crypto really is just going to resonate with the younger generation because they've grown up with these online games where they get digital scarcity. They get it. Like they get that those skins are rare. They get that they're worth real value. If people are willing to pay that, they get it. And I think it's going to be very exciting in the next 5-10 years when you introduce gaming, NFTs, the metaverse, all this crazy stuff. Just the possibilities to come out of it, especially in the play to earn side of things. I'm very excited to see a young generation of students coming out of high school saying, well, I'm not going to uni. I'm going to play to earn, baby. I'm going to play Axie's Infinity. That's exciting to me.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I was about to go the exact opposite way.
Oh, really?
As these gamification mechanisms become more and more potent, and as they attract real life people into it that normally would be putting their efforts towards like real skills which benefit people, like something uh, like for example fixing a car or growing food or whatever. I think it's actually going to rebound, and it's going to cause those like functional basis of living, those skills to become high in demand. And I think we could see some kind of weird rebound from the virtual into the real as the acceleration into like infinity goes on of these like of these NFTs and of these gamification and of the metaverse. So it's just going to be very
Mm,
it's going to be very volatile, I think, at the peak of this cycle.
for
You're
sure.
going to be see people claiming like, oh, and if like all value is going to go in the metaverse, and it's like, wait, no, go
Mm,
back. You know that expectation's based on your inflated price and your projection of gains in the future, and nothing's linear. So
right. Cool. So just be careful, guys. Because yeah, a lot of people get burnt, especially on OpenSea. You know, it costs a lot to get in, costs a lot to get out, and sometimes you can't even get out. So just be careful.
have fun, have fun.
Have fun. Yeah, another one that
Good.
we want to talk about as well is, if you guys know us, you know we're fans of Unizen. We know we're fans of, you know, the Alliance block, the quant ecosystems. You know, those kind of guys really kind of bridge, you know, the decentralized world into, you know, as they call it, the C DeFi, centralized decentralized finance, because there's definitely a huge market gap bringing in these legacy players into these new innovations. I do recommend quickly flicking through this blog, because it introduces another project of ours that we're huge, well, not ours, but another project that we're huge fans of, CHEQD. Also, if you guys know Sovereign from a few years ago, they're sort of like a branch off of the Sovereign project. So they work with Evernum to build self-sovereign identities. So essentially, self-sovereign identities is allowing, and again, Ghost, you're the expert in this area, so correct me if I'm wrong, but allowing individuals to, you know, authenticate legitimate data of themselves and their identity. So I think is that, you probably got a better way of summing that up, Ghost. What do you reckon?
No. I mean, it's not wrong at all. It's
Mm,
absolutely correct. But data streams and the context of a singular claim, I think, are two different things.
mm-hmm.
Like you can make a claim about yourself and then append a data stream on that claim in order to provide context for that. And I think yeah, the first thing comes the first thing that comes out of this is decentralized identifiers, so DIDs, and SSI is basically based on two different standards from the W3C. Um, it that being DIDs and VCs, VCs being verified credentials, and SSI meaning self sovereign identity is a means of users with wallets, just like a real life wallet, managing keys, which correspond to DIDs, digital identifiers, and VCs, verifiable credentials. And so this creates an ecosystem where people can participate in, issuing DIDs and VCs to respective users, potentially creating revenue flows for both the person issuing and the person holding the credential, and also for the person verifying the credential as well. And all of this needs tokenization in order to have seamless exchange of value coupled with the data that's secured on the network, the cryptographic data. And this can all also be completely private and secured by zero knowledge proofs, which makes basically makes self-sovereign identity completely the blueprint for how entities like the EU, the Americas, Asia, maybe outside of China, because China wants absolute surveillance.
Mm,
But you know, anyone who's has an even modicum of privacy preserving mechanisms built into their infrastructure slash their society, that SSI bridges that gap wonderfully. So with the digital world, which is why CDFI, so centralized decentralized finance, is such in need of a universal identity schema such as provided by CHEQD. So I'm really looking forward to see how CHEQD works within the CDFI alliance, or the CDFI world, so to speak, of Unizen. And it's going to be really fun to watch the different utilities that come out of this association.
Yeah, and I think a really obvious example that might help people just grasp it a bit is, you've got things like CBDCs, and eventually, CBDCs are going to be linked to like personal accounts and stuff like that, and those are going to have identifiers on them. So I mean, it's definitely right up Quant's alley as well, which is pretty exciting. Also, if you guys want to learn more about CHEQD, obviously check them out. But check them out, classic.
Check it out.
Check it out. Check it out. I actually hosted an AMA with the CHEQD team in the Unizen channel last week. It was good fun, good guys. We'll probably get them on the roundtable at some point. Wink, wink. So that'll be cool. Nudge, nudge. So that'll be pretty dope. Yeah, Ghost, last one before we wrap things up. Entropy and decentralized governance.
Yeah, so this is just a post by one of the members of Team CHEQD, Alex Tweedale. He's constructing the governance framework for CHEQD, and he's basically getting into the notion and the threshold by which a corporation or a corporate entity can become seriously considered a decentralized collective. And he builds this notion on the information theoretical concept of entropy. And so I would highly recommend reading this. It's pretty great stuff. I've talked to Alex before, and Alex is just a brilliant lad, and he's doing some great work for CHEQD. So look forward to more, as this is only part one.
Awesome. Now, before we sign off, and thank you again for tuning in with us and listening. Just wanted you guys to know, if you haven't already seen it, our first proper episode is up on the Roundtable. It's been up for almost a month now. We sat down with James Taylor, who is the Chief Business Officer at Unizen. We had a good discussion with him about his background, what he's up to and what he's bringing to Unizen and what their plans are. So, once again, thank you for tuning in. If you guys haven't joined the Telegram channel yet, make sure you guys get in there. We're always hanging out in there. Just tag us with any questions or any topics you guys want us to talk about in future, and we'd love to. So I think that's all from me, Ghost. How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, I'm just I'm feeling coffee, taking it easy. Still working hard in the background.
Yeah.
Have a piece coming to fruition soon, so stay tuned. And as always, stay coffee, everyone.
All right, guys. Thank you again for tuning in, and take it easy. Catch you now.